Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to join you today to commemorate this year's Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day. The SMEs contribute significantly to achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Recognizing their important roles for the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs, the United Nations General Assembly designated June 27th as the MSME Day. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, MSME, especially those owned by women and youth, have been affected by many challenges, including the climate crisis and the conflicts around the world. The ongoing global challenges have led the United Nations to downgrade the global growth forecast for 2022 from 4% to 3.1% in its recent report on the world economic situation and prospects. Global inflation is also forecast to increase to 6.7% in 2022. In response to these challenges, some governments introduced various programs and initiatives to help keep MSMEs afloat. But the broader damage remains acute. As the world is gradually recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, uncertainties still loom ahead. It is important to ensure that policy support to MSMEs is sustained where it exists and broadened where it does not. The journey for rebuilding better and stronger calls for public policies that support MSMEs not only as job engines, but also as agents for inclusive growth and environmental sustainability. The capacities of MSMEs entrepreneurs need to be strengthened to unleash their full potential to pursue high-value market opportunities and innovations. MSMEs are indispensable for the principle of leaving no one behind. The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs is committed to elevating policy coherence, strengthening capacities, and leveraging the roles of MSMEs to foster an inclusive and sustainable recovery in this decade of action to deliver the SDGs. I thank you.
Greetings, excellencies, diplomats, professors, small business leaders, distinguished guests, and students. I am Winslow Sargent, Chair of the International Council for Small Business. On behalf of the Board of Directors and our membership, I am pleased to join you in recognizing the importance of micro, small, and medium enterprises in our society. MSMEs are often described as small businesses, but what we do experience is that they are actually core businesses that produce vital services and products in our economies. Small businesses are only considered small because of the large obstacles they face. But yet, MSMEs are essential if we are to reach the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. With this in mind, ICSB, on the 5th anniversary of MSME Day, call upon the international community to lessen the burden that small business owners face in starting and growing their enterprise. According to our research, small business owners and entrepreneurs face challenges related to regulatory uncertainty, more reliance on digitization, and the lack of access to business networks. On regulation, small businesses seek certainty when it comes to doing business. Making rules that allow small businesses to focus on their customers and bring innovation to the marketplace should be the goal of regulation. In the age of the fourth industrial revolution, digitization is required for businesses to advertise and to conduct commerce. Too often, the barrier to entry to digitize offerings on the web and access to social media can be very high. Small businesses seek to pay their fair share and to receive reliable broadband services, to be a partner with their customers, and to be an asset to society. Lowering this digitization barrier will provide more offerings in society and help those entrepreneurs who are limited to certain geographies. Too often, small businesses are told that they matter, but when it comes to determining important issues that impact them, they're not invited to the party. The expression that says it is better to be at the table than to be on the menu is a depiction of how small business owners feel. They desire to be at the table to provide critical input to support a sustainable economy. A major hurdle that must also be overcome, especially for women entrepreneurs, is access to these networks. In the USA, women business owners own 42% of small businesses, but in 2021, only 2% of venture capital went to these businesses. Only 2%, but yet 42% of these businesses are owned by women. This needs to change. Small businesses remain key to our economy and our economic recovery. COVID-19 has dealt a body blow to many MSMEs, but to build back better and for sustainability, we must make sure that the voice of small business is ever present. ICSB will continue to lift our voices with our colleagues and our members. Thank you.
As we celebrate the 5th United Nations Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Day, I'd like to remind all of us why small really does matter and why today MSMEs need our support more than ever. According to ILO figures, self-employment and MSMEs account for over 2/3 of jobs globally. Yet these sectors have been amongst those hardest hit by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic over the past 2 years. And what's more, in many parts of the world, smaller businesses face increasingly unstable environments due to armed conflict, inflation, or extreme climatic conditions. And this matters because small enterprises and their workers must be at the forefront if our efforts to build a greener and more inclusive world of work are to succeed. Indeed, a key task for the ILO and our partners is to build and to strengthen support ecosystems that help MSMEs and their workers achieve their economic, social, and environmental objectives. They need our support to improve productivity and resilience, to maintain and create decent jobs, and to transition to a sustainable green economy. And to achieve these goals and a future world of work that leaves no one behind, governments, social partners, and the private sector all need to come together. Therefore, in celebrating MSME Day, I would urge you all to join the ILO in supporting and enabling MSMEs to be real engines for decent job creation and part of a green and inclusive economic recovery. If we want to succeed in building back better, small really matters.
This year, we celebrate the 5th anniversary of the United Nations International Day that is dedicated to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSME Day. When speaking of business, big companies usually spring to mind. Yet small businesses are at the heart of our economies. I'd like to thank our partners in championing this important day. In particular, the Permanent Mission of Argentina to the United Nations, the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the International Council for Small Business, the International Labour Organization, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and the United Nations Office for Partnerships. We also especially want to thank the Informal Working Group on MSMEs at the World Trade Organization in Geneva, which has been a trusted partner from the very beginning. I also want to acknowledge the excellent way in which many governments, business support organizations, and private sector partners across the world have embraced MSME Day to raise awareness of the needs of their small businesses and solutions to support them. This year, the challenges that small businesses face are acute. COVID, conflict, and climate have combined to redefine supply chains, reframe health needs, and restructure businesses of all sizes. We have not seen this confluence of circumstances for over a century. Gains that we perhaps took for granted are in serious danger of being completely reversed. The scale of the task is enormous. We must rebuild entire economies battered by the global pandemic. We must protect the most vulnerable from growing social and economic instability. We must harness the extraordinary power of technology for the good. From crisis springs creativity and opportunity for change. Today's headlines show us how interconnected our world is. They reveal that trade can do more than deliver prosperity. It must bring solutions for inclusiveness, sustainability, cooperation, and peace. This is what good trade is about. There's a link between discussions at the recent 12th World Trade Organization Ministerial Conference and small business needs. Trade talks have far-reaching implications for the competitiveness and survival of small businesses around the world. That is the wider context, not an easy one by any stretch. Now more than ever, ITC's work in 128 countries for MSMEs is critical to tackle global poverty and hunger. As part of our work in 2021, we introduced or changed trade-related policies, strategies, or regulations in over 90 cases to favor MSME competitiveness. And over 25,000 MSMEs that we worked with in the last year reported improved performance. We pinpointed 4 priority areas to scale our impact and asked you to consider doing the same. We ask you to focus on women, youth, digital, and green initiatives, both for MSME Day and beyond. Help small firms in these areas to build resilience so that they can adapt and thrive. This is the key to creating a wave of good trade that is truly inclusive and sustainable. To give you a small taste of what we do for MSME Day, we're partnering with Alibaba to share information with small firms and help raise their awareness of the opportunity and requirements for success in B2B e-commerce. We're also co-sponsoring a small business champions competition with the WTO Informal Working Group on MSMEs and the International Chamber of Commerce to highlight innovative green practices among small businesses. We hope these ideas inspire you to develop your own initiatives to accelerate impact for women, youth, green, and digital firms, and the ecosystem that supports them. MSMEs must be at the center of any recovery. They are the backbone of societies everywhere, and also the most vulnerable to the triple threat that faces us today. Working to make these firms more resilient is the cornerstone to achieving a world where trade builds inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous economies. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are the backbone of most of our economies worldwide. Whether in the industrial or in the service sector, MSMEs are especially important for developing countries. MSMEs represent about 90% of businesses and more than 50% of jobs worldwide. They do not only create jobs, but are also a source of dynamism and innovation. UNIDO supports MSMEs globally. We help to make them more competitive. We help them become more sustainable, and we help them scale up and integrate into markets. UNIDO has developed a set of tools to support successful digital transformations for these businesses. These include business mentoring, startup acceleration, and expert matchmaking. In North Africa, we promote technology development and digitalization for more efficient industrial parks. In Asia, we are promoting modernization of firms by capacity building and support for policy design. With our projects UNIDO is getting these businesses in developing countries into global value chains. With that, they can quickly learn and upgrade. They can meet international standards and enter new markets. They increase their revenues and bring prosperity to their communities. Ladies and gentlemen, the digital transformation is very promising for MSMEs. It means getting new capabilities. It means becoming more eco-friendly. It means enabling new business models. The digital transformation also gives everyone a chance to compete in the global market. So, it is our responsibility to support the spread of technologies, to spread opportunities and level the playing field. To do all of this successfully, SMEs need access to finance and access to expertise. We must explore new forms of finance, collaboration, and knowledge exchange. Small changes can lead to big results. To end poverty, to end hunger, to build a sustainable future, we need big results. You can all be part of the solution. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to strengthen the role of UNIDO as a platform for technology and knowledge transfer. Progress by innovation, that is the UNIDO motto. UNIDO is proud to be your partner. Events like MSME Day spread our common message. Today is a chance to show off best practices for everyone's benefit, a chance to see great examples of partnership that flourish. Thank you so much.